Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back, folks, to the Movie Bros podcast. We're your hosts, Duncan and Hayden.
And Hayden.
Uh, this week, we're going to be talking about the ever so popular forefront movie, it seems, of the summer, maybe of the year. I don't know. Dune came out earlier, that was still good too. We're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. With that in mind, just so you kind of know, if you don't know what we're talking about, it's a 2024 release. It's a superhero kind of buddy cop comedy. It's Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds hanging out basically for 2 hours, just annoying each other. Um, it was directed by Sean Levy. I never know how to say his last name. He's also known for he did Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. He's done the Pink Panther way back when, Night at the Museum. If you don't know about that, that's a classic with Ben Stiller. For at least if you're a kid, he did Real Steel with Hugh Jackman, which actually again is maybe not a great movie, but I love it. He did the Adam.
I will hear no insults against
Oh,
Real Steel. Real
oh,
Steel
it's
is a
very
classic.
fun. It's not a good movie, but it's very fun. He
I feel like that's going to be a line we repeat a lot
Yes,
today.
exactly. And like looking actually this I'm scrolling through his filmography as a director, and that's kind of the like general consensus for everything he's done is you might have a good time.
Which
Yeah,
is okay.
there's a time and place for that. Like all of his movies are you're probably going to have a good time, but it's probably not going to be like a good movie. So that's what we're talking about, folks. I know lots of you have probably either seen it, are going to see it, want to see it, whatever. So we'll probably try to do as much as we can to talk about it generally, but there will probably be a point where we will probably say, "Hey, there's going to be some spoilers. If you need to either stop listening or mute for a couple minutes or skip ahead, whatever, we'll let you know for that kind of stuff." Sound good so far, Hayden?
Well, you might not hear me talking as much this time, and that's because this time around we are trying to tackle our latency issues, the delay which we're hearing in our recording, the things that I say to Duncan in the live recording are snappy and are dovetailing right down the end of his sentences, but as soon as we listen to the recording, for whatever reason, I am 4 minutes faster than him. Or sorry, 4 seconds faster. That would be a much larger problem. Much larger problem were they minutes. So we're gonna see how we handle that. We're still working our way through this.
Correct. So it's A, you're a little faster, and also we're trying to figure out the right positioning for microphones, so we also have roughly the same volume level, so it doesn't sound like one person's too quiet, one person's too loud. So yes, this is still a kind of a figuring it out process, as I'm sure every podcast goes through those growth pains of having no experience and then just kind of having to sort through it. So we appreciate the patience, I guess, for lack of a better word.
And if you are one of our listeners, as I'm sure we have many, why don't you go over to one of our many social media outlets and let us know how we're doing, as I'm sure people love to give their opinions, as that's what we're doing here.
Speaking of opinions, shall we get into it?
Well, as Wolverine would say, let's effing go.
Let's effing so okay. On that topic, this movie's got a lot of profanity, which I'm fine with. I have no problem with. But when I go to upload these podcasts, I can mark it either if it's explicit or not. And I don't know if that's really going to change it for anyone, but I figure every once in a while we're going to sprinkle in something explicit. So just, I'd say keep going, but it's something we should maybe, I don't know, discuss about if we want to make it more generally open or either way, just a thought. That's something that I have to do when I upload it. I have to like uh, claim if it's adult content or not. But I feel like we're adults. People who listen to this are probably going to be adults. we're probably fine. Uh, sorry, random tangent. Either way, yes, let's fucking go. Uh,
I feel like if you're showing up to a Deadpool and Wolverine anything, and you're not expecting profanity, the fault is on you.
yeah, between the profanity and the amount of just blood and but not like gross blood, like comical and enjoyable blood and gore. Yeah, that's the movie. That's just what you signed up for. Which I think this movie does very well, I would say.
Well, on that note, since we're going to be doing a bit more of a how would you say civilized back and forth and not so much cutting in on each other, at least that's the attempt. Why don't you give me your general thoughts and then I can respond back in the polite debate manner.
Mhm. I know this is gonna be riveting stuff. Um,
Eh, just give us the benefit of the doubt. We're trying to
sure,
adjust.
of course. I would say generally, I liked it. I think I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely very fun. There are lots of bits where like I I find things funny. It's hard for me to like openly laugh at a lot of stuff, and I was openly laughing at quite a bit of stuff in this movie. Uh, there are several scenes where they're either not getting along or getting along, and both are comical. The cameos were interesting for the different people from the different, I guess, timelines or old properties from Fox or whatever you want to call it. But it was different. It was interesting choices. I thought the villain was kind of super underwhelming, which again, that's I think the plot in general was kind of underwhelming, but I think it worked as a vehicle to put these two characters together. Um, I don't know if it. It's weird. I like the combination of him and Wolverine, and I don't see how in any other context they could have done this correctly. But I think like Deadpool 1 is maybe a better movie, even though the plot's not that much better, like, it is better, but it's not that much better, but it doesn't have Wolverine. I don't it's none of them are great movies, but they're all a good time is, I guess, is how I would best say it. That was a ramble, but yeah.
Well, so I also enjoyed this, but I viewed this and the other Deadpool movies possibly differently than you. I don't go into them expecting the emotional resonance of something like Endgame, or if you want a more direct connection, something like Logan. You go to these movies to laugh and have fun.
Whoosh, I
I
get
think
that.
it's entirely fulfilling of the brief for these to be kind of mindless. That's the whole point. Like I walked away completely satisfied from this. I would say even more so than Deadpool 2.
Well,
Probably not more than Deadpool 1, but that's because you know, who doesn't like an origin story? It's hard to do those wrong. I I, I walked away from this completely satisfied. I wasn't looking to be, you know, moved to tears or
no,
whatever.
me
Like
neither,
I'm looking to laugh and point out references.
which was the entirety of the movie, which was literally just cameo reference and things like that, which I'm fine with. Um The fight scenes were excellent, both between Deadpool and Wolverine and them against other entities. That way, I've tried to be as vague as possible, but against other entities was also really good. Um, there's a scene with a minivan that's fantastic. Um, what are your thoughts on how do I word this? I think they call themselves the Resistance.
Oh, you mean the Fox characters?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, so for anyone listening, I'm a really big comic fan. I grew up reading 90s comics. So you know what? We're just going to put a spoiler warning here. I'm not going to be able to talk about this
Yeah,
movie
this movie
and
is
not
like
name
mostly
characters because it
spoilers.
won't make any sense. And that's all right. So spoiler warning here. We're about 10 minutes 30 in.
10 minutes 30, 10 minutes
If you don't want
15.
to hear about the plot, well, we might have a larger problem than we previously realized. Because my timer right now just packed 10 minutes 50 seconds.
Mine says 10:30 now.
I apologize in advance to anyone
This
listening to this.
might this might be total garbage.
You know what? Let's pause it
No, no,
now
no,
and
no,
listen
dude.
back.
We're 10 minutes in. We got to keep going.
No, it's gonna be
It's gonna
unlistenable.
be fantastic. We'll find out. We'll
Okay.
find out.
In any event, at any point in the time when you're listening to this is when we start talking about
Yes,
spoilers.
if you can decipher it.
So,
Yes.
Duncan, this is such a mistake. We need to stop.
Just keep going. It's fine.
No.
Who
No.
is this for? Is this for the fans or is this for us? And now it's just me.
And we're gonna dovetail right into that other sound clip.
And we're
We
back,
we
folks.
had a bit of a freak out, and we had to pause and check some things. Allegedly,
Hopefully.
it's going fine, so we're gonna continue on. We're gonna barrel right through.
I think we left off. You were talking about growing up with comics, and we were talking about the cameos and the resistance or whatever. I think
Right.
that's where
So
we were at.
if you've made it this far and you could hear Vaseem in an audio recording, this is definitely where we're gonna start talking about spoilers.
Yes, clearly spoilers.
So, again, and it's like a week and a half ish since we saw it, so I don't remember the exact plot circumstances that we got to hear as, but Deadpool and Wolverine, you know, the main characters, the thing it's named after, we end up in the Limbo world from the Loki show, a personal favorite of the Disney Plus era.
Yeah, I think they call it something else, but it is the same place.
It's you know, potato. It's the same thing.
Yes.
After some run-ins with villain number 2, Cassandra Nova, who is still not a fantastic villain, but definitely a step up from whatever the hell his name was at the TVA. See, I genuinely can't tell what his name was.
Oh,
He was so
Paradox?
forgettable. Paradox. Yes, Matthew McFadden.
Yeah, he was really super forgettable, and I mean,
I understand why he's there. He's there to move the plot forward. I get it, but like, why? Like you. So the thing I have written down in my notes is that the reason these are not good villains, both of them know that they're villains. Every good villain should see themselves as the hero from their point of view. Both of them are like, they immediately, as soon as they're on screen, like do a cannonball into maniacal, evil, you know, mustache twirling personas. It's so obvious.
And if maybe this would have been better in a series, but I feel like Cassandra Nova, like that, especially as Charles Xavier's sister, they could have done so much more with her. Besides just like, I don't know. She felt really underutilized.
I am no writer, but I feel like you could have started the movie with her. You could you wouldn't have needed to do anything with the TVA. You could have just had her show up at Wade's place.
100%.
Like, the TVA is there to give a lore reason for why there are now Sony properties in Marvel properties together.
Sure, no, they gotta get,
and that's fine.
They gotta get Wolverine in there somehow. Yeah,
and you gotta get Deadpool in there somehow. And And let's just go through it. You also have to get Blade and Gambit and
Which
Elektra.
it's interesting the choice of Blade that they chose. I'm
Why?
surprised they didn't try to be future thinking instead of using Wesley Snipes and use the new guy, Marshalala, or what, I can never say his name right, but
I won't attempt to say his name because I'm sure it'll sound racist if I do. But yes.
eh, I feel like that.
So everyone there is there for meta reasons.
Yes, yes, of course. Not for
So,
actual like story or like anything.
well, I think it
You know
still
what I
works.
mean.
So the reason Wesley Snipes is there is that, quite famously, he really hated working with Ryan Reynolds on the
Yes.
third Blade movie, and that's why he's there. Is to poke fun of the fact that yes, they've worked together. In fact, they even have a line saying, "Oh, I hate you. Oh, you always did." Jennifer Garner, I think she's just a personal friend of Hugh Jackman.
I can see that. I feel like they are probably run in similar circles. I'm
And
I'm glad they
Gambit,
oh, hold on. I'm
go right
glad
ahead.
they didn't have Ben Affleck's Daredevil.
So the rumor I had heard was that they were in talks with Nicolas Cage for Ghost Rider,
I heard that too.
and I feel like it's literally we were on the cusp of greatness. We were this close.
Like I think that, but I feel like it would have been too much of a thing. Like I
There,
like the
that
ones
is
that they
true, and that is
pulled.
something that I feel like this movie does very well. For as wild and as out there as some of the scenes get, it always feels purposeful. There is a reason why they're doing this, that, and the other. It feels like this was done with a modicum of restraint. Like they
To a
really
certain
could have
degree,
gone
yes.
well, just for the amount of cameos that are actually here. It's not as many as I thought there would be,
I agree. I did think there was going to be more cameos. Like again,
but
we are in
I'm glad that it
spoiler
was a little
zone,
bit
but
less.
like yes, there was Juggernaut, there's Pyro, there was Human Torch, but there which is
It's
great.
like my favorite one. Having Chris Evans back, teasing the
But
fact that he might be a Captain America variant, and
and
then
then it's
having an
not.
just a really rude version of Johnny Storm. I laughed my ass off in theaters. That was great.
Although watching that, I was like, I could maybe rewatch those old Fantastic Four movies. Like,
I own them
mm,
on DVD if you want to come over and we'll break out some popcorn.
I wouldn't. I'm not inherently against that, to be perfectly honest. Like,
Some parts of them have not aged well, but I still think they do the thing really well. I think the fire effects look pretty decent.
I think
You
the
have
cat.
Jessica
I mean,
Alba, and she's
she's. I
has
even
her
like.
top undone a lot. So
Yes. Well, I know. I think the casting is actually really good for those. I mean, that's a whole other
yes,
conversation, but I think the casting is really
for the
good.
early 2000s, that was pretty good.
Yeah. And dude, the Silver Surfer looked awesome. Like super cool.
And and for the era in which that came out, that was a really good mix of practical and CG.
Mm-hmm.
It was really really well done.
So maybe we add that to our ticker spinner thing of options of things to watch. Because yeah, I would rewatch those for sure.
I can absolutely do that. And that brings us on to that topic, something that if we didn't mention in the last episode, I'd like to flesh out a little bit more. So the way we're going to be choosing movies going forward, if we're not seeing it in theaters, we have a movie randomizer which compiles our lists from HBO and Netflix and Hulu and our physical collections of whatever we have, and it'll randomly spit out a name and then it'll remove from the list afterwards. So slowly but surely, we are going to work our way through everything. However, if you would like to supersede this randomizer, we will always go through a suggestion before we go through that. So if you would like to let us know about something you want to hear us talk about, that will always jump the line.
And I would say yes, it's great that we have the spinner, and yes, you can give us suggestions, but we make the rules. There are no rules. We can definitely just pick an entirely different movie, which we seem to be always doing anyway. So
This is true.
it's.
This is true.
I'm just saying if something
But I
either
feel
comes
like a
out or
little
something
bit of
comes up.
structure couldn't hurt.
No, yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying like certain circumstances happen where you and I actually see something different, and we end up wanting to talk about it. It might happen. That's all I'm saying.
Very true. Very true. So
That DP and Wolf,
what's
yep.
like a favorite moment you have from
Oh,
Deadpool 3
I
or
would
Deadpool and
say
Wolverine, whichever
I
title you
would
want to go with?
say oof, either the fight scene when they're in the minivan is fantastic, uh, or oh man, I had a different one, but now of course or just all of Gambit's lines, every single one of them is fantastic. Like the amount of memes and like Instagram reels,
I've seen so
TikToks,
many.
they're fantastic. They're so good. But I don't know if you saw this. I think it was either today or yesterday. Ryan Reynolds sent this really nice post about Gambit and about
I did
Channing
see that
Tatum and
this
how,
afternoon.
yeah, I was like, oh, but I would be, it would be ridiculous, but if it was in the same vein as this, as like a fun movie, I
Yeah,
would watch a Gambit movie or even like a mini series or something.
I think if they, and by they I mean Disney Marvel, if they put out a high quality X-Men show and they wanted to throw Gambit in there, I would be 100% behind that.
Yeah, I'm
Now,
still
granted, their track record of Marvel shows has not been the best.
very hit or
So
miss. Yeah.
that might not be the best of ideas, but I think that would be an interesting avenue to take.
Yeah, we'll have to see how whatever what's it called? Daredevil something?
Daredevil
If it
Born Again, Reborn,
Yeah,
whatever
if
it
it
is.
actually lives up to the original, if they can kind of right the ship a little bit.
I
Especially I've
the whole
I'm
Marvel in decline conversation doesn't have to happen now, but
why don't
we could
we
probably do an episode on that if we wanted to.
well, why don't, because I mean, hey, we're only been going for this plus that first segment, we've only been going for 20 minutes. Why don't we finish Deadpool and then we'll see where we're at and we can talk at the end maybe.
Sure.
Do
So I
you have
think
your preferred
a
moment?
f- so I think a favorite moment for me, and don't get me wrong, the scene where they're in the minivan in the forest
Mhm.
and they do a literal 48-hour fight scene was was hilarious, and I loved that. Um, Personally, seeing Hugh in the greens and blues just it meant a lot to me as a fan, having stuck with the X-Men
The
series
greens
as
and
it's
blues?
gone up and down in quality. Like that meant a lot to me seeing that finally on screen. I mean, they literally have a line where, "Oh, it's only taken 20 years to see these colors."
Yeah, I mean, especially when you put the cowl on at the end.
I
Oh,
clapped in theaters. I'm sorry if I'm that
oh,
person.
it
I
was
clapped
so
in
good.
theaters.
It was so good. Uh,
Yes.
that also, oh, I really liked. I mean, when they're looking for him at the beginning, and it shows all the different comic book
Oh,
cover,
so
basically,
good. It's so
which was
good.
so good, and like clearly for fans, which I appreciate. But I mean, okay, we
I
could
think
probably.
that's my main takeaway from this movie is that more than anything, and I think even more than the other two, this was made for longtime fans. Like the first
Yeah, I can
Deadpool
agree with that.
was there to bring on new fans. The second one, I have lots of issues with, and if I think it doesn't work
It
as well. This
Yeah,
one,
it's
I more than anything feels like, I think it's an overused phrase, but a love letter to classic Marvel fans. Like
mhm,
this more than the other two feels like it was done out of a desire to say thank you, I guess.
mhm. The the brown and like kind of orangish yellow suit, that variant.
Oh,
So
the classic John Byrne 80s suit. Oh
that's the
yes.
one where he fights the Hulk in though.
Yep. And
They did reference it.
recreate they recreate the classic Todd McFarlane cover where you can
Mm.
see Hulk reflected in
It
the
is, yeah,
claws.
so cool.
Perfection.
I
So how do we feel about the Cavalry?
I was literally just about to say like, oh dude, the cavalry. I like it. I don't. I don't know if I want it to be more than a cameo, though.
I don't want it to be more than a cameo. I like Henry Cavill a lot. I want them to go younger if they're going to recast him.
Yeah, I agree. You're gonna need, especially because that's kind of a core character, or at least has been. I don't.
I
I
mean, in the movie's own words, he is the anchor character of the X-Men.
Yes, and it's weird because I feel like in the comics he maybe not it was. I don't even know if he was the X-Men, but like
No,
Hugh
he wasn't.
Jackman. Hugh Jackman made him the X-Men.
So in the
Uh,
comics, the X-Men was more than not Cyclops
yeah, I was like, wasn't it more like
or Jean Grey.
Cyclops? Exactly.
Like in the same way that in the Avengers comics, the main Avenger was never Iron Man.
No, it was
But
always usually
because of
Captain America.
RDJ, he became the main Avenger.
Mm-hmm. So yes,
So if they
I
want
hope
someone else to
it's.
completely inhabit the role, I want them to not to say start over fresh, because the fact that this movie exists means that they kind of don't want to. But if they're going to, they need to go for someone probably the same age as Hugh was back in 2001 when they first made the original X-Men movie.
I think they have. I think I've seen interviews or something with Kevin Feige where he's like, "Oh yeah, whoever ends up playing them is going to be like doing their own thing, starting from scratch." So
Yeah, well, Kevin Feige often
says a lot.
says things in interviews, and then what we actually get delivered is sometimes very different.
It's quite true. Um, it was funny. I don't know if uh the audience, a lot of the audience, understood the whole like short person, like short
I think
stack,
enough
whatever
people
they.
did.
Okay, because like I chuckled and I understood it, but like I don't know. That's kind of deep
So,
cuts.
so for those of you listening, we ended up seeing this with our parents because free tickets and free tickets.
Not free
Um,
tickets.
was it not?
No, it was
You're
not,
right, it
man.
wasn't. In any event, we ended up seeing it with our parents, and me and Duncan and our dad both definitely got the short comic accurate Wolverine joke. My mother was completely clueless. So
Well,
I feel like that joke definitely landed with probably a good 70% of people, and 30% people didn't get.
that's probably roughly correct. I bet. Uh,
So
I
what
didn't.
was
Oh,
the
sorry.
main thing for you that didn't work in this?
I mean, the villains were very so-so. The plot, there wasn't a lot of for a like buddy cop travel, almost like road trip movie. I feel like not a lot actually. Like they didn't go a lot of places or do a lot of things. Like there's that montage of him looking for the Wolverine, but after that they were just like, "Oh, we were in this one spot. We're gonna go back to this fortress of dead Ant Man or Giant Man, and then we're gonna go into a subway where they built this death machine, this MacGuffin." And it didn't feel.
It's literally the MacGuffin machine. Yes.
Yes, I don't know, like, but again, that's not why you're going to the movie. So
I feel like we could have had a happy medium between this movie's plotline and the mess that was Multiverse of Madness, because Multiverse of Madness, for all its problems, absolutely delivered on the we're going to show you 50 different versions of Doctor Strange, and we're going to go to 50 different locations.
I think I need to rewatch it because I don't remember anything about that movie,
We can
like
talk about it.
legitimately
It's
anything. And I just
for
remember it
how much I
being a
think both of
mess,
us for how much I think both of us appreciate the first Doctor Strange, this was certainly a step down.
which is unfortunate because I really like Sam Raimi.
And it's not like a Spider-Man 3 situation. We can't blame Marvel this time. Like, it's entirely on Sam Raimi.
I mean, I don't know about that. I'm sure to a certain degree there's lots of fingers in the pot kind of deal, but
Well,
Uh,
if you believe anything Taika Waititi says, and
ugh.
I oftentimes don't, but
I,
one of the things that I've heard that I think makes a lot of sense is that when you go to direct a movie for Marvel, you have a lot less control over
well,
it than
sure.
you really assume you would, because there are
Yes,
so many executives and Kevin Feige's who have to sign off on every single thing that you do
of
because
course.
they want to connect everything.
Mm-hmm. Which I get, but that doesn't mean it's right.
It doesn't always work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the very easy argument could be made that it hasn't worked since arguably Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, not really.
But we're getting off topic.
Indeed.
For for me personally, what I felt didn't work in DMP3 was
DMP or
I didn't
DP3?
mind. Well, here's a separate question. Do you prefer to call this Deadpool 3 or do you want to call it Deadpool and Wolverine?
What's the title of the movie, Hayden?
I'm asking you the question first.
What is the title of the movie?
Deadpool and Wolverine,
There you go.
whatever. So, my I think main issue is that for all the jokes that actually land all really really well, there's some jokes here that I don't think work very well. I
Yeah,
think that
I can agree with that.
I didn't think Dogpool was funny. The entire movie,
I was literally just
like
thinking, I was like,
I like it was funny once, but the
mm-hmm.
fact that it came back over and over and over again, I was just like, yeah, okay, it's the damn dog again. Let's move on. Just
Yeah,
like like Nice Pool again. It was funny for like a one-off. I didn't need him to be there for over 10 minutes.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Equally, I feel like the scene with John Favreau playing Happy Hogan, you could have edited the hell of that and made it go so much quicker.
yeah, it was a weird slow start. Kind of
Yes.
like a stuttery start, it felt like.
Although, if I want to praise one thing specifically, the fact that they took the fans' concerns of, oh, this is gonna desecrate the memory of Logan, and
Of
oh,
Logan, yeah.
and they literally took that as, okay, that's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna set it to music, and we're gonna make a dance number out of it. That's incredible. I love
Which
the opening to this so much. It's hilarious.
I it's I have a different opinion. I both like it, but I also like some of the dancing stuff really took me out of it. It felt
For a Deadpool
literally
movie.
I know, just when I was watching it and it was literally not even him like fighting any of the dudes in dancing, it was just him dancing. I was like, okay, am I watching a TikTok? What the fuck is this? Like, that's how I
I don't
felt.
know. I really enjoyed it. I felt like it for I think the amount of trepidation and hesitation so many Marvel fans probably have at this point, and rightfully so.
Rightfully
I think
so.
that really set the tone correctly for the rest of the movie. I think if they
Sure.
had played that any more straight than they played it, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, maybe not.
Um, what else did I have written down?
Who would you recast?
Who would I recast? I would. I don't know if I would recast them, but I feel like maybe. Actually, no. I had it written down. I would at least mention Cable and Domino from Deadpool 2. They are such a constant part of that plot, and they never bring it up.
Yeah, and like I'm pretty sure in the comics, like they were pretty constant Deadpool characters.
Oh yeah, I mean, Cable especially for a while became the X-Men, especially around the Apocalypse era and all of the
Mm-hmm.
different time shenanigans he got up to.
Yeah. Yeah.
if there was a cameo that you didn't get that you would want in perhaps a future
Mm,
Deadpool movie, because clearly this has made its money back and then some. I think
yeah,
right
no
now it's
kidding.
currently sitting at $800 million on a second weekend pull, which is really, really good.
Yeah, that is
Um,
really good.
I mean, there's a line in a
Um,
movie, they're going to make you do this until you're 90. If you had to have someone show up in the possible Deadpool and Wolverine 2/4, who would you want to see?
well, I think they covered the whole cameos from other older like franchises. So I don't think you can do anything like that anymore, to be honest. Like for the story aspect. But could I see Deadpool hopping into other like maybe even literally like there's a actually okay, I would like to see a Midnight Suns. Do you know what this is?
I do know what this is.
Okay, I would like to see that. Um but I mean I would like it where if it's literally just any kind of Marvel property and it's just Deadpool just walking by in the background, or it's like him in full costume, like in the background at the grocery store shopping for fruit or something like that. I think I think he's good for that kind of stuff too, because again he's everywhere and he knows that he's everywhere. If that makes sense.
Oh, I mean, he knows he's on camera. They
Yes.
literally have him grab the camera at one point and
Mm-hmm.
pull the boom mic in so he can make a Disneyland joke.
Which was great.
It was. Um, I personally would like to see him show up in the next Spider-Man. I don't think he needs to be like the named character, but I think it would
No,
make sense
I
because they've already heavily implied that they're going to have Venom. And even if he just shows up in the background or something, I think it'd be good.
I so Spider-Man is already a like talky character, and
He
he's the merc
is.
with a mouth. I don't know if you need too many talky characters, because that's what's going to happen, or that's what did happen, where Tony Stark was the talky Tony Stark character, and then everyone else became the talky Tony Stark. I don't need more than one of those in a movie.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I think even if he himself is the cameo, I think would be funny,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what I'm
he's
saying. Like
gone.
him as a cameo, I think would be fun.
Yeah. Like he doesn't need to be part of the plot, but like since they're gonna have Tom Hardy's Venom show up, I think it'd be funny if he just if 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 anything, you have Deadpool come in and do a recap of both the franchises.
Yeah, that could be good. It's him by the fireside with like a storybook, maybe.
Him in a director's chair holding a microphone.
There you go. Yeah, I would be down for that. It's weird.
Like I say, is there
I would.
anything else that you particularly want to mention about this? I mean, other than I really enjoyed it because it filled all of my boxes I wanted from a Deadpool movie. I can't think of much else to say about it. It's super fun. It's super funny. The action's really good. The gore is really good. It fails a little bit with its villains and its plot, but you're not there to see Endgame. You're there to see Deadpool. For me, this is a solid 4.5 out of 5.
I don't know. I think I gave it either 3.5 or 4. I don't know if I loved it that much.
Well, again, to me, this is the gorilla with the power glove moment. You're
Mm-hmm.
here to see something silly. It delivers on the silly.
Oh, it definitely delivers on the silly for sure. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a ton of really anything else. The
Good job finally getting that yellow and blue on screen.
mm-hmm.
Like there are few other wish fulfillment things I want out of Marvel at this point, but that was a big one, and I'm finally glad that we got it.
Besides getting an actual good right choice actor for Doctor Doom, you mean?
I don't want to get into RDJ
Let's get
Doom right
into
now.
it.
Do you actually want to?
Why not?
Okay, fine. Here's my opinion. It's a crap, desperate move, which shows they are now throwing things at the wall. They have no plan. this is so disappointing. It's like this would be the extreme example I would come up of for something else. Like this would be the extreme hyperbole that doesn't exist were I to describe something else. This is so lame. Because I know exactly what they're going to do. What they're going to do is they're going to say, "Oh, this is just evil variant Tony Stark," which means we're not getting a true Doctor Doom character. It's just going to be evil Tony. It's so underwhelming. Like,
I
how do
agree.
you look at what people did at Fan Four Stick or whatever you want to say was the one with Miles Teller? How do you look at that and say, you know what? Let's do a more disappointing version.
To be fair, I mean, it's they don't have a good track record with Doctor Doom. I guess is a harder character to pull off, which they could have had Cillian Murphy or something like that, or even like a Skarsgård maybe in there.
I mean,
I don't know.
honestly, he just
Caprio.
needs to have an intimidating sounding voice. I was pulling for Jeremy Irons, the
Hmm.
dude from
Yeah.
who voices Scar in The Lion King. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
could you imagine? That would be incredible.
Sure. He's got the acting chops.
I
Yeah.
think what
I.
Marvel struggles with Doctor Doom specifically is that he is such a deeply rooted in the 60s when he was mated kind of character,
Mm-hmm.
is that every time they try to bring him to the screen, they try and modernize him in a way that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. That's why maybe because again they're setting. I think they're setting the Fantastic Four in like the '60s,
Yes, they are.
so that might be a good way to tease him.
I just
Maybe, but yes,
they could have
the casting is
any
regrettable.
other way. The casting is so underwhelming, and you could literally even see it in their Hall H, whatever it was at
Mm-hmm.
Comic-Con when they showed this. You could see the crowd being exciting. They had someone walking out in the green. They have the mask on. And he takes off the mask and you can feel the excitement leave the room even as people are trying to clap.
Yeah,
Like
like there's definitely
it's
cheering, but
it's so underwhelming.
I have yet to see any because this happened.
This happened like a week ago.
This happened like a week ago, and I've seen a lot of different either both on like in-person people or social media on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it may be. No one
I've not seen
is
anyone praising this choice.
exactly. Literally, no one is.
Like I've seen lots of different versions of the conversation we're having now where we're saying
Mm-hmm.
this feels like desperation. This feels like we're going back to what we know works, even if it doesn't make any sense casting wise. I've spoken to my coworkers about this who also like Marvel stuff. I've spoken to you about it, even when we're not recording.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is of the same opinion that this is a mistake.
But let's play devil's advocate. Keep in mind they had built this all around Kang, which
I
great villain, and
again, just recast Kang.
which
Kang's whole thing is that there are infinite versions of him.
yes, I think that probably
Just
is what
recast it.
they should have probably done that.
Like this,
Although
it blows my mind that they're like, all the work we did for like maybe
multiple
8 years,
movies,
both
yeah,
with Loki and
yes,
all the other stuff,
everything, yeah,
throw it away. Let's bring in Robert Downey Jr. again. The
yeah.
fans will definitely want this.
Which it's such a bummer of a
Blows my mind.
situation because I like what they've done with Kang so far, and actually as an actor, I like Jonathan Majors regardless of his personal stuff going on. Which
I would agree. I would
yeah,
say there are moments in the Loki show where he's legitimately very intimidating and creepy, and he comes
yes,
across really well,
yeah,
regardless of whether or not he may be method acting.
I would. Hayden, you're getting a little fuzzy. I'd scoot back a little bit.
I would just say that yes, I agree that I like Jonathan Majors as an actor. You know, his personal life notwithstanding, I understand why
Exactly.
Marvel let him go,
Sure, I get it.
but again, just
Just
recast
recast him.
him.
Yes.
Honestly, I think I maybe was talking with you about this back when they did this. Get the actor who portrayed Black Manta.
Black man. Oh, yo. It starts with a Y.
I
I
I
can't
am
think
not
of
even
it.
going to attempt to pronounce his name. There's no way it's gonna happen. But
Well,
you know who I'm talking about.
yes, either you could do him, you could do John Boyega.
John
Like,
Boyega would be great.
yes, that's I was they
Give him a
did.
little bit give him a little
Ooh,
bit of redemption for how Star Wars screwed him over.
it wasn't great, but even what's the guy? Tenet,
Oh,
Denzel
John David
Washington's
Washington?
son. Yeah,
He
he
would be
would be
great.
fun. Yes, I was like, there are other
Again,
people,
there are so many other ways they could have gone with this, and the RDJ choice is
Ugh.
just so disappointing.
And I don't know, even I saw the logo, I was like, oh, Doomsday. I'm like, wait, is this DC or
I
Marvel? Like,
don't
pick a different name, dude.
I don't mind Doomsday. If anything, I think
Eh,
that's literally a comic arc. I'm okay with the name. It's just
eh.
again, also, so I read some articles about this at the time. One of Downey Jr.'s stipulations for coming back is that if I'm going to come back, you have to bring the Russos back.
Which I
Like
know he likes them,
it's
and
the same
eh.
thing though. It's like they've done their time. They were released from Marvel jail. Like they were free. They were out. You know. I just
Well, that's why
something that I
I
have written down in my notes is that
mm,
Deadpool and Wolverine was like the last guarantee of good quality coming out of Marvel,
sure.
uh, at least in my opinion, for the foreseeable future. Because even the Fantastic Four movie
Eh,
is changing things in ways that irritate me greatly. Um,
yeah,
this
we'll have to
being one of them,
yeah, we'll
obviously.
have to see what happens.
And this is the last time I will, you know, for the time being, this Deadpool and Wolverine was probably the last time I'm gonna fully trust Marvel and give them my money before I wait for reviews,
Mhm.
because I haven't done that since the first Iron Man. Pretty much whatever they've put out, I've gone to go see,
Sure.
like without question. And I can't in good faith do that anymore because the quality is just dipping so dramatically.
Yes. And
Like
I think
I
that's
paid money for the Marvels.
ugh, God. I
I
I think that was when
genuinely,
I
Kevin Feige, you owe me $13.
that I think I saw it's that and The Flash, I think, are up there for, like, the most expensive, biggest flops of all time.
Don't get me started on the Marvels. That's a whole different rant.
Yes.
Like, yes, the fact that they spent so much money on it and you can't see it anywhere, baffling. Absolutely ridiculous.
No, but what I was saying is I think this is a good thing because it helps remind so much of the public that only saw Marvel movies that there are other movies out there. It gives a chance to other directors and other creators
I agree.
to tell stories that are not, oh, this dude in a cape is going to fight a bad guy.
I maybe not on here, but certainly in the general, you know, cultural conversation, there's been a lot of talk of superhero fatigue and whether or not that's
It's real.
something people want to give credence to.
I think so.
And I think both that it exists, but also I would say it's a good thing. I think that, you know, after superhero movies have arguably peaked, like Endgame,
Mm-hmm.
Infinity War, like Man of Steel, a personal favorite of mine, and I believe of yours as well. Um,
Oh yeah.
it's okay if they go back to being every, 5 years or so we get one. It doesn't need to
Mm-hmm.
be three. It's all right if we slow down. It's all
Mm-hmm.
right if other genres of action movie take the space that used to hold.
Well, I just think backwards, like there are certain decades where like there is something popular. Like this decade or whatever was superheroes. There was a point where it was like buddy cop movies, like if all the like Lethal Weapon and Die Hard. There's
Oh
different
yeah, I
eras
mean
for everything.
there
So
was Star Wars and all the
yeah, exactly.
sci-fi it spawned. And, like I
Mm-hmm.
understand that things are cyclical and there will be a new genre that comes out of this, taking its
Well,
spot, and I think that's a good thing. But
I just
I'm
like that there
I'm
are
I'm
certain.
okay with Marvel maybe reassessing what
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah,
do
I
in the
agree with
future
that.
because I think Kevin Feige, not that he never had to worry before with whatever he put out, but it certainly didn't feel like there was much quality control. It was always, oh, you want to make this? Fine, we'll put a stamp on it, we'll put it out. It doesn't matter. Our fans will watch anything. And I'm glad that they are getting pushed back now and being reminded that they actually have to care.
Yeah, which yeah, I agree. It is a good thing, and that's why I think
And
independent.
maybe it's
Hold on. Hey,
DC
hey,
taking
hey,
their
hey,
place.
hey, hey, hey,
I, I,
hey,
I.
oi.
I'm sorry, go right ahead.
Uh, and of course now I lost my train of thought. God damn it! All right, keep going.
I was just gonna say, maybe it's DC taking their place for a little while. Now that James Gunn is over there.
Ugh,
Well, I'm
ugh.
cautiously optimistic.
The
I'm
suit
not gonna
looks
pass
so
judgment on them.
bad.
I know, but I did. It's with no post production. It's from
Oh
B-roll
yeah, that's
cameras.
fair. That's
I
fair.
I'm I'm not gonna pass judgment on it until we see actual official photography.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cautiously optimistic, but my point is that even if DC takes over the Marvel market, as it were, I think that's good. I think that
They've had their
there
time in
need
the
to
sun.
be, yeah, like, I think the time of praising the Snyderverse doesn't
Is
matter
over.
what your opinions on it are at this point. It's done. We need to move on.
Well, just superhero stuff aside, if it's if it's DC, if it's Marvel, okay, either way. But like, oh, there's this cool new uh Dune movie. Oh, hey, did you hear about Oppenheimer? Oh, there was this this other thriller or this comedy or like
I
I don't
mean,
know. I feel like
I know it's not your genre, but like horror has been doing really, really well this year. Like
yes, I like long.
it
I know
is,
I've yes, I have noticed that.
it, it is refreshing to see every genre essentially making a comeback in the past year and a half or so. Like the Sydney Sweeney Glenn Powell movie where it's a romantic comedy or whatever.
Oh,
Like
I
it
it was
it made
popular.
a
It's really
ton
not
of
good.
money.
It made a ton of money. It's really not good. I watched it. It's terrible.
Well,
It's really like the writing is atrocious. Um,
but
it's just
but what I
two
mean
hot
is that
people
there
hanging
are,
out.
hey, I mean, you could get me to watch a lot of things of Sydney Sweeney if that's just the plot.
I mean, I did just watch Madam Web. Oof!
Oof, that might be
Wow.
the exception.
Oh no!
I did watch that as well.
Okay? Did you see how many times the ADR popped up where like they clearly like people were saying different things and then they had to go back in and re-record the voiceover? Like
I
it's
think I've seen less overdubbing in Japanese media.
mm-hmm.
Like it was atrocious.
And like a lot.
Also, the amount of camera cuts they need to
I know.
every single it's like watching a Michael Bay movie. They could be doing one action and they go through six different camera angles for no reason.
But also, what a boring movie that was. Like,
As far as superhero
we
movies go,
could do. We could
there's not a lot that happens.
yes, we could do a whole conversation about Madam Web as well. But I feel like we're now at like 52 minutes or something like that. We should
We
probably
are butting up against an hour, but that's okay.
wrap up.
I'm having fun. I
Oh,
hope you're
see,
having fun.
I
I
have.
hope you,
I've.
the listener, are having fun.
Who gives a shit about them?
I I feel like we should.
I
I
mean,
mean, a little
again,
bit.
are we doing this for the fans, Hayden? Or are we doing it for ourselves?
We are literally having a conversation about how Marvel needs to make things better for the consumer. We can't just sit here and then also say, fuck the consumer.
Dude, fuck the consumer. Now that's a good
No,
slogan.
no, I don't condone this.
Well, do you have your ticker up?
It is Actually, let me see if I do.
I can riff
Oh,
into you.
I have to log into it and
Well, log in.
stuff.
We can keep talking for a second, because
Okay,
that way,
hold on.
while people are listening to this, they can hear what we're going to talk about next week, so they can kind of either plan to either tune in or tune in. Damn it!
um,
Speaking of which, here, let me burn some
didn't I send it to
time.
you? It's not showing up.
What?
Didn't I send it to you? I don't have it showing up for me.
You send it to me at some point. While you're looking for that, I also rewatched uh, Gattaca. What a great fucking movie that is! Like, super
I
underrated.
don't watch that often because like that's an emotional movie,
It's I thought
but it's
it's
really good.
it's very good, and like, it's from 1997, and it's very good. Uh, Stack cast, good story, good writing, good shots. Highly recommend. I give that like a 4.5 out of 5, almost a perfect movie in my opinion.
If you're looking for early Ethan Hawke and you don't have a whole lot of other things
Well,
to pick
I didn't
outside of
realize it's
like
early
Before
Ethan Hawke.
Sunrise stuff, this
It's
is a great movie.
it's early Ethan Hawke, and it's early Uma Thurman before they were married and had a kid.
Also, Jude Law shows up, I believe.
Yes, Jude Law's in it. I mean, it's a good. It's Alan Alda is in it.
I don't I please bear with us. I can't find that link anywhere. We will probably have to. You know what? We will post this on social media later about the picker info. I'm
Fine.
sorry. I'm sorry.
We will add that to our ever expanding list of things to tweak to make this better for you,
Well,
the consumer. Ugh, disgusting.
is that the one Irish thing?
The one Irish thing. Oh yeah, Hayden, the
Never
one
mind.
Irish thing.
Never mind.
Well, with that, if you are going to go see Deadpool and Wolverine, that's great. If you don't, you should maybe think about it. If you watch it and you like it, tell us. If you watch it and you don't like it, tell us. If you have recommendations on what to watch or what not to watch, or how to improve either the intro, the outro, the timing, the audio, you can't improve us. We're both perfect. But yeah, that's been
I
another
perhaps am
week.
more of a humble host. I know I have room for improvement, but that's more
Nah,
for like a therapy thing, possibly not for here.
who needs therapy, Hayden? I just got myself a dog. It kind of just fixed all my problems.
Well, I don't have that luxury at the moment. In any event, we we both we both hope you enjoyed this episode. If you would like to find us on social media, you can find our Instagram page at the movie. mm,
We
what's
are
our link?
at it's at the underscore movie bros. You
That's
can
what it
also,
is.
I think I'll have to double check Spotify, but I think I put a link to that on our Spotify and vice versa.
Yes, you did.
Otherwise, we will again try to be as consistent as possible about posting weekly. It'll probably be earlier in the week sometime. Uh, yeah, and we'll probably shoot everyone a note either on Instagram stories or something like that with our ticker about what we're going to be watching next. Otherwise, this has been
Thanks for listening,
episode,
and we'll catch you the next time.
yeah, episode 8, 7? No, 8. I think 8.
We are episode insert number here.
Insert number here. We've been your hosts, Duncan and Hayden. And yeah, just like you said, we'll catch you in the next one.